morning students. Now we are going to discuss about Geography Chapter 2 Physical Features of India. Students, in our last class we discussed about theory of plate tectonics, India's landmass, Gondwana land, physical features of India, the Himalayan mountains and the northern plains. Listen to it. Now we are going to discuss about the Peninsular Plateau, the Indian desert, the coastal plains and the islands. Moving on to understand the Peninsular Plateau. Students, the Peninsular Plateau is a tableland composed of old crystalline, igneous and metamorphic rocks. Students, it was formed due to the breaking and drifting of the Gondwana land. See, it is a part of oldest landmass. The Peninsular Plateau has broad and shallow valleys and rounded hills. Students, give the composition of the Peninsular Plateau. Yes, the Peninsular Plateau is composed of the old crystalline, igneous and metamorphic rocks. See, they were formed by the breaking and drifting of Gondwana land. It is the part of the oldest landmass. Students, this plateau consists of two divisions. They are the Central Highlands and the Dekhan Plateau. At first, we will discuss about the Central Highlands. Students, the part of the Peninsular Plateau lying to the north of the Narmada River, covering a major area of the Malwa Plateau is known as Central Highlands. Students, the Vindhyan range is bounded by the Central Highlands on the south. See, the Aravallis is bounded by the Central Highlands on the northwest. Listen to it. Student, its further westernward extension gradually merges with the sandy and rocky desert of Rajasthan. Students, it slopes from southwest to northeast as indicated by the flow of the Chambal, Sindh, Betwa and Ken rivers. That means the flow of the rivers draining this region, namely the Chambal, the Sindh, the Betwa and Ken, is from southwest to northeast, thus indicating the slope. Students, do you know the Central Highlands are wider in the west but narrow in the east? Students, the easternward extensions of this plateau are locally known as the Bundelkhand and Bahelkhand. That means the Central Highlands are wider in the west but narrow in the east. See, the eastward extension of this plateau are locally known as the Bundelkhand and Bahelkhand. Students, the Chota Nagpur Plateau marks the further easternward extension drained by the Damodar River. Students, what do you mean by Bundelkhand and Bahelkhand? Yes, the easternward extension of the Central Highland is known as Bundelkhand and Bahelkhand. Am I right? Students, can you tell? Name the rivers draining the Central Highlands. Also mention the direction of the flow of these rivers. Yes, the Sindh, the Betwa and the Ken. Yes, these rivers flow from southwest to northeast. Students, which river drains the Chota Nagpur Plateau? Yes, the Damodar River drains the Chota Nagpur Plateau. Let us discuss about the Deccan Plateau. The Deccan Plateau is a triangular landmass. It lies to the south of the river Narmada. That means Deccan Plateau is located in the south of the Narmada River. Students, the Satpura range flanks its broad base in the north, while the Mahadev, the Kaimur Hills and the Michael range form its eastern extensions. That means the Satpura range is in north while the Mahadev, the Kaimur Hills, and the Michael Range is its eastern extension. Students, the Deccan Plateau is higher in the west and slopes gently eastwards. An extension of the plateau is also visible in the northeast, generally known as the Meghalaya, Karbi Anglak Plateau, and North Kachar Hills. Students, it is separated from the Chota Nagpur Plateau by a fault. See, three prominent hill ranges from its west to east are the Garo, the Kazi, and the Jaintia Hills. Students, can you tell what is the shape of the Deccan Plateau? Where does it lie? Yes, the Deccan Plateau is a triangular landmass. It lies to the south of the river Narmada. Students, can you tell? List down the extension of Deccan Plateau in northeast. Yes, the extension are Meghalaya, Karbi Anglang Plateau, and North Kachar Hills. Students, do you know which two well-known rivers originate near the Mahadev Hills? Yes, the rivers originating near the Mahadev Hills are the Narmada and the Son. Moving on to understand Eastern Ghats and Western Ghats. Students, the Western Ghats and the Eastern Ghats mark the western and the eastern edges of the Deccan Plateau. See, Western Ghats lie parallel to the western coast. They are continuous and can be crossed through passes only. Students, do you know the Western Ghats are higher than the Eastern Ghats? Their average elevation is 900 meters to 1600 meters as against 600 meters of Eastern Ghats. Students, the height of the Western Ghats increases from north to south. Students, name the western and the eastern edges of the Deccan Plateau. Yes, the Western Ghats and the Eastern Ghats. Anaimudi and Tottabetta are the highest peaks found here. Students, which is the highest peak found in the Western Ghats? Yes, Anaimudi is the highest peak found in the Western Ghats. Students, do you know the famous hill stations of Udagamandalam, popularly known as Ooty, and Kodaikanal are in these hills? The Western Ghats are continuous and can be crossed through passes only. Students, what do you know about Western Ghats? Yes, the Western Ghats are higher than the Eastern Ghats. Their average elevation is 900 meters to 1600 meters. See, Western Ghats lie parallel to the western coast. They are continuous and can be crossed through passes only, isn't it? Let us discuss about Eastern Ghats. Students, the Eastern Ghats stretch from the Mahanadi Valley to the Nilgiris in the south. The Eastern Ghats are discontinuous and irregular and dissected by rivers draining into the Bay of Bengal. Students, Mahendragiri is the highest peak in the Eastern Ghats. Servarai Hills and Javadi Hills are located in the southeast of the Eastern Ghats. Students, do you know the Nilgiri Hills in Tamil Nadu lie at the junction of the Eastern and Western Ghats? Students, name the highest peak of the Western Ghats. Yes, the Anaimudi with the height of 2695 meters is the highest peak of the Western Ghats. Students, do you know which is the highest peak of the Eastern Ghats? Yes, the Mahendragiri with the height of 1501 meters is the highest peak of the Eastern Ghats. Students, can you tell? Name the hills lies in the southeast of the Eastern Ghats. Yes, the Servarai and Javadi Hills lies in the southeast of the Eastern Ghats. Let us discuss about Dekhan Trap. The western part of the plateau known as the Dekhan Trap. Students, in Dekhan Trap, Rocks are of volcanic origin. Thus, the type of rocks is igneous, and these are denuded over time, resulted in formation of black soil. That means the western part of the plateau known as the Dekhan Trap. It contains black soil of volcanic origin. See, the rocks are igneous and denuded to form black soil, famous for cotton cultivation. Students, what is known as Dekhan Trap? Yes, there is a black soil area in the Peninsular Plateau. It is known as Dekhan Trap. Moving on to understand the Great Indian Desert. Students, what do you mean by desert? Yes, the desert areas of the world are characterized by low rainfall, scanty vegetation, and extreme temperatures. Listen to it. Yes. Depending on the temperatures, there are hot desert as well as cold desert. Students, the Indian desert lies towards the western margins of the Aravalli Hills. See, it is an undulating sandy plain covered with sand dunes. Students, undulating means move with a smooth wave-like motion. Students, the Indian desert lies on the western margins of the Aravalli Hills. It consists of wave-like sandy plain with various types of sand dunes. Students, this region receives very low rainfall below 150 mm per year. It has arid climate with low vegetation cover. Streams appear during the rainy season. Soon after, they disappear into the sand as they do not have enough water to reach the sea. Students, do you know Luni is the only large river in this region? Students, that means it receives less than 150 mm rainfall annually. It has arid climate with low vegetation. Here, streams appear only during the monsoon season. Luni is the only large river in this region. Students, Barchan's crescent-shaped dunes cover large areas, but longitudinal dunes become more prominent near the Indo-Pakistan boundary. That means crescent-shaped sand dunes called Barchans cover most of this desert, but longitudinal dunes are also seen on the western edge of this region near the Indo-Pakistan border. Students, this desert is known as the Thar Desert. Students, which is the only largest river in the Indian desert? Yes, River Luni is the only largest river in the Indian desert. What do you mean by Barchans? Where are they found? Yes, crescent-shaped dunes are known as Barchans. Crescent-shaped dunes are known as Barchans. They are found in the Indian desert, prominently near the Indo-Pakistan boundary. Students, what do you know about Indian desert? Yes, the Indian desert lies towards the western margins of the Aravalli Hills. It is an undulating sandy plain covered with sand dunes. This region receives very low rainfall. Am I right? It has arid climate with low vegetation cover. Moving on to understand oasis. Students, what is an oasis? Yes, an oasis is a place in a desert where water comes up to the surface from deep underground. Students, an oasis is an area made fertile by a source of fresh water in an otherwise dry and arid region. See, oases are irrigated by natural springs or other underground water sources. Students, people get water from the oasis in the Thar Desert. Students, what do you mean by oasis? Yes, it is an area in the desert where there is water and where plants grow. Oases are irrigated by natural springs or other underground water sources. Can you tell which is the only largest river in the Indian desert? Yes, River Luni is the only largest river in the Indian desert. Moving on to understand the coastal plains. Students, what do you mean by coastal plain? Yes, a coastal plain is flat low-lying land adjacent to a sea coast. Listen to it. Yes, the climate of the coastal plain is mild with hot summers and cool winters with few hard freezes. Students, the Peninsular Plateau is flanked by stretch of narrow coastal strips running along the Arabian Sea on the west and the Bay of Bengal on the east. That means the Peninsular Plateau is bordered by narrow coastal strips running along the Arabian Sea on the west and the Bay of Bengal on the east. The western coast, sandwiched between the Westernghats and the Arabian Sea, is a narrow plain. Students, the western coast, which lies between the Westernghats and Arabian Sea, is a narrow plain. It consists of three sections. They are Konkan Coast, Kannad Plain, and Malabar Coast. Students, Konkan Coast means the northern part of the coast is called the Konkan Coast. Students, the central stretch is called the Kannad Plain. Students, the southern stretch is referred to as the Malabar Coast. Do you know Lake Chilika lies along the eastern coast? Students, what do you know about the coastal plains? Yes, the coastal plains extend in the form of a strip along the Bay of Bengal on the east and the Arabian Sea on the west. The western coast, sandwiched between the Western Ghats and the Arabian Sea. It is a narrow plain. It consists of three sections. They are the northern part of the coast is called the Konkan Coast. The central stretch is called the Kannad Plain. The southern stretch is called the Malabar Coast. Listen to it. See, Lake Chilika lies along the eastern coast. Students, the plains along the Bay of Bengal are wide and level. In the northern part, it is referred to as the Northern Sarkar, while the southern part is known as the Coromandel Coast. That means, in northern part, it is known as Northern Sarkar. In southern part, it is called as Coromandel Coast. Students, Lake Chilika is the largest saltwater lake on the eastern coast. It is famous for a winter home for migratory birds. It lies to the south of Mahanadi Delta. Students, name the three divisions of the western coastal plains. Yes, the three divisions of western coastal plains are the Konkan Coast, the Kannad Plain, and the Malabar Coast. Listen to it. Students, what do you know about Chilika Lake? Yes, it is the largest saltwater lake found in Odisha, south of the Mahanadi Delta. Students, can you tell? List down the location of the western coast. Yes, the western coast is a narrow plain sandwiched between the Western Ghats and the Arabian Sea. Let us discuss about the islands. Students, what do you mean by island? Yes, an island is any piece of subcontinental land that is surrounded by water. That means an island is a piece of land that is surrounded by water. Students, you have already seen that India has a vast mainland. Listen to it. Besides this, the country has also two groups of islands. Can you identify these island groups? Yes, Lakshadip Islands and Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Let us discuss about the Lakshadip Islands. Students, it lies close to the Malabar coast. This group of islands is composed of small coral islands. Students, do you know? Earlier they were known as Lakshadip, Minikai and Amindiv. Students, in 1973, these were named as Lakshadip. They cover a small area of 32 square kilometers. Students, Kavarati Island is the administrative headquarters of Lakshadip. This island group has great diversity of flora and fauna. Students, in this group, the Piti Island has a bird sanctuary which is uninhabited. Students, can you tell what was the earlier name of Lakshadip? Yes, they were known as Lakshadip, Minikai, and Amindiv. Am I right? Yes. In the year 1973, they were named as Lakshadip. Students, which island in the Lakshadip Islands group has a bird sanctuary? Yes, the bird sanctuary is located in the Piti Island. The bird sanctuary is located in the Piti Island. Students, what do you know about Lakshadip Islands? Yes, the Lakshadip Islands group lie close to the Malabar coast of Kerala. Listen to it. Yes. This group of islands is composed of small coral islands. It covers small area of 32 square kilometer. Kavarati Island is the administrative headquarters of Lakshadip. Students, mention two features of the Piti Island. Yes, this island is uninhabited. It has a bird sanctuary. Let us discuss about corals. Students, what do you know about corals? Yes, coral polyps are short-lived microscopic organisms which live in colonies. Listen to it. Yes, they flourish in shallow, mud-free and warm waters. Students, they secrete calcium carbonate. The coral secretion and the skeletons from coral deposits in the form of reefs. They are mainly of three kinds. They are barrier reef, fringing reef and atolls. Students, the Great Barrier Reef of Australia is a good example of the first kind of coral reefs. See, atolls are circular or horseshoe-shaped coral reefs. Students, what do you know about coral polyps? Yes, they are short-lived microscopic organisms and live in colonies. Students, name the three kinds of coral reefs. Yes, barrier reef, fringing reef and atolls. Moving on to understand Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Students, now you see the elongated chain of islands located in the Bay of Bengal extending from north to south. These are Andaman and Nicobar Islands. See, they are bigger in size and are more numerous and scattered. Students, the entire group of islands is divided into two broad categories, the Andaman in the north and the Nicobar in the south. Students, it is believed that these islands are an elevated portions of submarine mountains. There is a great diversity of flora and fauna in this group of islands. These islands lie close to the equator and experience equatorial climate and has thick forest cover. Students, what do you know about Andaman and Nicobar Islands? Yes, the elongated chain of islands located in the Bay of Bengal is Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Listen to it. Yes, they extend from north to south. They are bigger in size and are more numerous and scattered. Listen to it. Students, the entire group of islands is divided into two broad categories, the Andaman in the north and the Nicobar in the south. Students, do you know an active volcano is found on Barren Island in Andaman and Nicobar Islands? Students, mention the two broad categories into which the Andaman and Nicobar Islands are divided. Yes, the Andaman in the north, the Nicobar in the south. Students, In which habitat the coral polyps flourish? Yes, coral polyps flourish in a habitat consisting of shallow warm water which does not have mud. This kind of habitat is found in Lakshadip Islands. Students, now I am going to revise important terms. At first, barchans. Students, what do you mean by barchans? Where are they found? Yes, crescent-shaped dunes are known as barchans. They are found in the Indian desert, prominently near the Indo-Pakistan boundary. Next, coral polyps. Students, they are short-lived microscopic organisms and live in colonies. They flourish in shallow, mud-free and warm waters. They secrete calcium carbonate. The coral secretion and their skeletons from coral deposit in the form of reefs. Students, name the three kinds of reefs. Yes, barrier reef, fringing reef and atolls. Students, what do you mean by atolls? Yes, they are circular or horseshoe shaped coral reefs. What do you mean by doab? Yes, it refers to the area between two rivers. Students, what do you know about distributaries? Yes, the rivers in their lower course split into numerous channels due to the deposition of silt. These channels are known as distributaries. Moving on to understand Dekhan Trap and Peninsular Plateau. Students, what do you know about Dekhan Trap? Yes, the black soil area of the Peninsular Plateau is known as Dekhan Trap. Students, this is of volcanic origin, hence the rocks are of igneous nature. Over a period of time, these rocks have broken down to form black soils. It covers parts of Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh and Gujarat. Let us recall the importance of Peninsular Plateau. Students, the Peninsular Plateau, which is made up of old crystalline, igneous and metamorphic rocks, is a rich source of mineral wealth. The Dekhan Trap provides the black soil, which is most suitable for cultivation of cotton crops. It has a number of industries, especially in the Chota Nagpur Plateau area. For example, Jamshedpur and Bokaro steel plants, etc. Next, we will discuss about features of Aravalli Hills. It lies on the western and northwestern margins of the Peninsular Plateau. Students, these hills appeared as broken hills as they got highly eroded. In a southwest to northeast direction, Aravalli Hills extended from Gujarat to Delhi. Let us recall the Indian desert. Students, this is popularly known as the Thar Desert. It lies towards the western margins of the Aravalli Hills. See, it is an undulating sandy plain covered with sand dunes. This region receives very low rainfall below 150 mm per year. Students, it has arid climate with low vegetation cover. Streams appear during the rainy season. Soon after the rainy season, they disappear into the sand. Students, Luni is the only large river in this region. Crescent-shaped dunes, popularly known as barchans, are an important feature of the Indian desert, isn't it? Students, which is the only largest river in the Indian desert? Yes, River Luni is the only largest river in the Indian desert. Let us recall Oasis. It is an area in the desert where there is water and where plants grow. Students, oases are irrigated by natural springs or other underground water sources. Now, I am going to revise the Central Island and the Deccan Plateau. Students, The Peninsular Plateau is a tableland and has broad and shallow valleys and rounded hills, isn't it? Yes. This plateau consists of two broad divisions. They are the Central Highland and the Deccan Plateau. Students, the part of the Peninsular Plateau lying to the north of the Narmada River, covering a major area of the Malwa Plateau is known as the Central Highlands. Students, the Deccan Plateau is a triangular landmass that lies to the south of the river Narmada. This plateau is higher in the west and slopes gently eastwards. Students, now I am going to differentiate Western Ghats and Eastern Ghats. Students, Western Ghats are formed on the western side of the Peninsular Plateau. Eastern Ghats are formed on the eastern side of the Peninsular Plateau. Listen to it. Western Ghats are regular and continuous and can be crossed through passes only. Eastern Ghats are discontinuous and irregular and dissected by rivers draining into the Bay of Bengal. Now, Western Ghats. They lie parallel to the Malabar coast. Next, Eastern Ghats. They lie parallel to the Coromandel coast. Students, Western Ghats are comparatively higher in elevation. Their average elevation is 900 meters to 1600 meters. Students, Eastern Ghats are comparatively lower elevation. Their average elevation is 600 meters. Students, the highest peaks in the Western Ghats are the Anaimudi and the Tattabetta. Students, the highest peak in the Eastern Ghats is Mahendragiri. Students, this is the difference between Western Ghats and Eastern Ghats. Let us recall Himalayas. Students, the Himalayas stretch over the northern borders of India. These mountain ranges run in a west-east direction from the Indus to the Brahmaputra. Students, they consist of three parallel ranges in its longitudinal extent. They are Himadri, Himachal and Shivalik. Students, the northernmost range is known as Himadri. Himadri is also known as Great Himalayas or Inner Himalayas. It contains all the prominent Himalayan peaks. Moving on to understand Himachal. Students, the range lying to the south of the Himadri is known as Himachal. Himachal is also known as Lesser Himalayas. Students, this range consists of the famous valley of Kashmir, the Kangra and Kullu Valley in Himachal Pradesh. Now, we will discuss about Shivalik. Students, the outermost range of the Himalayas is called the Shivaliks. Besides the longitudinal divisions, the Himalayas have been divided on the basis of regions from west to east. The four divisions of Himalayas from west to east are Punjab Himalayas, Kumaon Himalayas, Nepal Himalayas and Assam Himalayas. Students, in the west, the part of Himalayas lying between Indus and Sutlej has been traditionally known as Punjab Himalayas. They are also known locally as Kashmir and Himachal Himalayas from west to east. Let us discuss about Kumaon Himalayas. Students, the part of the Himalayas lying between Sutlej and Kali rivers is known as Kumaon Himalayas. Let us discuss about Nepal Himalayas. Students, these Himalayas lie between Kali and Tista rivers. Next, Assam Himalayas. Students, these Himalayas lie between Tista and Dihang rivers. Students, now we will discuss about significance of Himalayas. Students, the Himalayas act as a climatic divide. They do not allow the cold winds from Central Asia to come into India, nor do they allow the monsoons to escape into the Central Asia. Students, They are storehouse of forest wealth and wildlife. Listen to it. Yes. They give rise to perennial rivers. For example, River Ganga. Students, do you know they have a number of places of tourist attraction? For example, Simla, Nainital, Srinagar, etc. Students, they are also famous for the river valleys. Let us discuss about significance of northern plains. Students, the northern plains of India are drained by rivers Indus, Ganga, and Brahmaputra along with their tributaries. Thus, these plains are very fertile and a rich source of food grains in India, so known as granaries of the world. Students, do you know the northern plains are densely populated? A number of religious places are also there. For example, Varanasi, Rishikesh, Haridwar, etc. Students, they have a dense network of transport such as railways and roadways. Students, they provide the base for early civilizations. Students, they are densely populated due to the fertile soil, adequate water supply, and favorable climate. Let us discuss about physical divisions of India. Students, in this topic we will discuss about how do the physical divisions of India complement each other. Students, name the 6 major physiographic divisions of India. Yes, the Himalayan mountains, the northern plains, the Peninsular Plateau, the Indian desert, the coastal plains, and the islands. Students, do you know each physiographic region is unique in itself, but in spite of their differences, they are interdependent on each other. Students, the northern mountains are a rich source of water and forest resources. Students, the northern plains with fertile soil are the granaries for the whole country. Listen to it. Students, do you know the Peninsular Plateau is the storehouse of mineral wealth? So, it is a base of manufacturing industries. The coastal plains provide sites for fishing and port activities. Am I right? Students, the island groups have a unique diversity in flora and fauna. What do you mean by flora and fauna? Yes, flora means plants, fauna means animals. Students, none of these regions can exist without the other. Therefore, there is a geographical unity between these different regions. In other words, there is a kind of unity in diversity that exists in India. Students, can you tell? Name the major physical divisions of India. Yes, the major physical divisions of India are the Himalayan mountains, the northern plains, the Peninsular Plateau, the Indian desert, the coastal plains, and the islands. Students, give 2 broad divisions of the Peninsular Plateau. Yes, the 2 broad divisions of the Peninsular Plateau are the Central Highlands and the Deccan Plateau. Students, give 3 facts about the Lakshadip Islands group. Yes, the Lakshadip Islands group lies close to the Malabar coast of Kerala. Listen to it. This group of islands is composed of small coral islands. It covers small area of 32 square kilometers. Students, this group has great diversity of flora and fauna. Students, which physical feature of India is known as granaries of the world? Yes, the northern plains of India is known as granaries of the world. Students, which is the highest peak found in the Western Ghats? Yes, Animudi is the highest peak found in the Western Ghats. Students, can you tell what is the shape of the Deccan Plateau? Where does it lie? Yes, the Deccan Plateau is a triangular landmass. It lies to the south of the river Narmada. Thank you.